Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the darkest stories of the Victorian era, the chilling tale of Thomas Neill Cream, the Lambeth Poisoner. This is a story of a doctor who turned his knowledge of medicine into a weapon of terror. A man whose crimes shocked 2 continents. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's unravel the twisted life of a serial killer who hid behind a stethoscope. Picture this. It's 1850, Glasgow, Scotland, a city humming with industrial might, smoky chimneys, bustling textile mills. On May 27th, a boy named Thomas Neill Cream is born to William Cream, a wealthy merchant and justice of the peace, and his wife, Margaret. He's the eldest of 8 kids, growing up in a prosperous household where expectations run high. Young Thomas is sharp. Those piercing blue eyes seem to see right through you. He devours books on science and medicine while his siblings play in the streets. But there's something off about him, a restlessness, a coldness that sets him apart. Fast forward to 1854, Thomas is just 4 when his family packs up and sails across the Atlantic to British North America, chasing new opportunities in the timber trade and land deals. They settle near Quebec City, in the rugged Canadian countryside along the St. Lawrence River. It's a far cry from Glasgow's urban chaos. Harsh winters, dense forests, and a strict Protestant upbringing shaped Thomas into a solitary kid, more comfortable with his thoughts than with friends. His dad, a tough, ambitious man, drills into him that education is power, while his mom's softer influence gets drowned out. Thomas excels at La Chute Academy, a small local school. He's a star in classics and sciences, especially anatomy and chemistry, subjects that'll later become his deadly tools. By his late teens, he's off to McGill University in Montreal, a hub of colonial learning. On November 12, 1872, at 22, he enrolls as a medical student, diving into pathology and pharmacology. Professors notice his brilliance, but also his eerie detachment. He dissects cadavers with a precision that unnerves his classmates. On March 31, 1876, he graduates with an MD-CM degree, Doctor of Medicine and Master of Surgery. At 25, Thomas Neill Cream is no longer a country boy. He's a doctor, armed with knowledge that could save lives or end them. But he's restless, hungry for more. He sets his sights on London, England, the heart of medical innovation. At St. Thomas's Hospital Medical School, he sharpens his skills in foggy, gaslit wards. By 1878, he's got qualifications from the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons in Edinburgh, cementing his status as a transatlantic healer. But whispers follow him. Rumors of shady experiments on poor patients who can't fight back. Something's brewing beneath that polished exterior. Back in Canada, in the summer of 1876, Thomas meets Flora Elizabeth Brooks in Waterloo, Quebec. She's 19 and vibrant, with auburn hair and a laugh that lights up her dad's hotel taproom. Their romance is a whirlwind, stolen glances, secret meetings. But when Flora gets pregnant, panic sets in. Thomas, desperate to keep his freedom, offers to fix it. In a dim room above the hotel, he performs a botched abortion. Flora's screams pierce the night as sepsis ravages her body. Her father, a tough frontiersman, tracks Thomas to Montreal and forces him to marry her at gunpoint on September 11, 1876. The next day, Thomas bolts, boarding a ship to England without a glance back. Flora lingers in agony, dying of tuberculosis or maybe poison in 1877 at just 20. Locals whisper that Thomas sent her remedies laced with malice. No charges are filed, but suspicion clings to him like damp fog. This betrayal is the blueprint for Thomas's evil: charm, destroy, hide behind his medical mask. By 1878, he's back in Canada, setting up shop in London. Ontario, a quiet town of horse-drawn carriages and devout Methodists. His practice at 204 Dundas Street thrives, drawing desperate women seeking abortions or cures for female complaints. He's their savior, promising discretion with a silver tongue. But beneath it all, a predator lurks. In 1879, the first clear crime emerges. Catherine Kate Hutchinson Gardner, a 20-year-old chambermaid, pregnant and terrified of ruin, visits Thomas for an abortion. She trusts him and lies on his table. Hours later, her body is found in the privy behind his office, a chloroform-soaked handkerchief in her stiff hand. The autopsy says asphyxiation, her lungs choked by the anesthetic. Thomas spins a wild story. Kate wrote a forged letter accusing a businessman of fathering her child, then killed herself in despair when he refused the procedure. The letter's a clumsy fake, nothing like Kate's neat handwriting. Her family and roommates call it lies. Thomas pushed her to name the man, then silenced her when she refused. Evidence piles up, a missing chloroform bottle, witnesses spotting Kate at his door. But the authorities, swayed by his credentials and maybe a bribe, look away. The case fades, unsolved. Kate's death is Thomas's first confirmed kill, a rehearsal for the horrors to come. He gets bolder, advertising female complaints in hushed tones, peddling a fake epilepsy elixir laced with sketchy herbs, preying on the vulnerable. His reputation grows, even as darkness festers. By 1880, he's drawn to Chicago, a gritty city of stockyards and sin. In the Levy district, near the Everly Sisters brothels, he sets up as an abortionist for sex workers. His methods are brutal, unsterilized tools, toxic potions. In August, 23-year-old Mary Ann Faulkner stumbles from his surgery, collapsing in a boarding house, racked by sepsis. The coroner calls it a complication, but whispers of murder spread. Thomas is arrested, his tools seized, but slick alibis and no witnesses set him free. He keeps going. In December, Miss Stack dies the same way, her death cloaked in mystery. Thomas blackmails the pharmacist supplying his drugs, demanding hush money. Murder, then extortion. This becomes his playbook. In April 1881, Alice Montgomery, a 21-year-old prostitute, checks into a rooming house for Thomas's. Procedure. She dies in strychnine convulsions, her body twisted in agony. The inquest rules murder, but the trail goes cold. Thomas is untouchable, his shadow growing darker. His boldest American crime hits in Boone County, Illinois, far from the city's vice. Daniel Stott, a 61-year-old railway agent with epilepsy, buys Thomas's fake elixir. Daniel's wife, Julia, 24 and alluring, falls for Thomas during his house calls. Their affair blooms in secret, and Thomas convinces her that Daniel's death means freedom, love, money, and a new start. On June 14, 1881, Daniel takes a fatal dose, his body arching in strychnine spasms in the family parlor. Thomas forges a suicide note, blaming the pharmacist, and demands $250 in blackmail. The pharmacist, furious, alerts the authorities. Daniel's body is exhumed, strychnine crystals gleam under the microscope. Julia, fearing the gallows, turns on Thomas, spilling his plot in court. The trial in Belvedere is a spectacle. Thomas, dapper and dramatic, pleads innocence. But the evidence, poison traces, love letters, and Julia's testimony, crushes him. Convicted of murder, he's sentenced to life in Joliet Prison. On November 23, 1881, behind stone walls, he works the laundry, plotting legal escapes. He writes petitions, bribes guards with cash smuggled by his brother Stuart, and fakes reform. His father's death in 1887 leaves $16,000. Fuel for appeals. On July 31, 1891, Governor Joseph Pfeiffer commutes his sentence, swayed by good behavior and rumors of corruption. At 41, Thomas walks free, gaunt but unbroken, his eyes burning with malice. He sails for England, landing in Liverpool on October 1, 1891. London's slums are his new hunting ground. He takes rooms at 103 Lambeth Palace Road, in the heart of Lambeth. Cheap rents, cheaper morals. Prostitutes work under gas lamps, their lives fragile. Thomas, posing as a gentleman traveler, prowls with strychnine vials labeled tonic. On October 13th, he meets Ellen Nellie Donworth, a 19-year-old with haunted eyes. In the pub, he buys her poisoned stout, then brandy. She collapses in her lodgings, convulsing, screaming, "I've been poisoned." She dies foaming at the mouth. The inquest buzzes, but no leads stick. Thomas writes anonymous letters as A. O'Brien, detective, offering to unmask the killer for $300,000, his first London extortion. On October 20th, he targets Matilda Tilly Clover, a 27-year-old former maid turned prostitute. In the Lambeth Gin Palace, he charms her with tales of medical skill, giving her 3 health pills. She swallows them in her attic room, dying in rigid spasms. The doctor rules heart failure, missing the strychnine. Thomas writes to physician William Broadbent as MC Malone, accusing him of murder for 25,000. Scotland Yard sets a trap, but he slips away. He takes a quick trip to Canada for his inheritance and even gets engaged to Laura Sabatini, a respectable widow, before darkness pulls him back. On April 2nd, 1892, he's back in London, targeting Louise Harvey. 24, she wisely discards his pills. Undeterred, on April 11th, he lures Alice Marsh. 21, and Emma Shrivell, 18 friends in the same desperate trade, to his rooms. They share champagne, tinned salmon, and vitamins. Hours later, they die in synchronized agony, their landlady finding them frozen in screams. Thomas's arrogance peaks. He blackmails neighbor Joseph Harper for $500, accusing him of the killings. He brags to strangers, leading New York detective William Henry and locals on creepy tours of the crime scenes, calling them a fiend's work. Police Sergeant McIntyre and P.C. Cumley, who saw him with victims, start connecting dots. Thomas's letters, packed with details only the killer would know, like Tilly's natural death, draw Scotland Yard's best. Inspector Charles, Arrow and Sergeant John McIntyre trace the pseudonyms. Address to Lambeth Palace Road. On June 3rd, 1892, they raid his rooms, seizing his poison kit, strychnine, Nux vomica, and patient ledgers. Cables to Chicago and Ontario confirm his past, abortionist, poisoner, convict. At Scotland Yard, Thomas cracks, confessing bits while denying others. Charged on July 13th with 4 murders, attempted murder and extortion. He faces the Old Bailey. The trial, October 17th to 21, 1892, is a Victorian horror show. Witnesses, landladies, pharmacists, and Tilly's exhumed body showing strychnine pile on evidence. Thomas's defense, insanity, lovers' quarrels, falls apart. After 12 minutes, the jury convicts. Justice Henry Hawkins dons the black cap. You have forfeited your life. In Newgate's condemned cell, Thomas rewrites his will, cutting out Laura. On November 15, 1892, at dawn, hangman James Billington leads him to the scaffold. As the trapdoor drops, he reportedly whispers, "I am Jack the..." hinting at the Ripper, though he was in Joliet during Whitechapel's 1888 murders. Theories of a double or corruption swirl, but evidence debunks them. His neck snaps. The Lambeth Poisoner is gone, buried under flagstones, later reinterred unmarked in the City of London cemetery. Thomas Neill Cream's toll, 5 confirmed murders and suspicions of a dozen more, from Flora Brooks to Chicago's nameless victims. Dean Job's book, The Case of the Murderous Dr. Cream, calls him a pioneer serial killer, random, remorseless, using poison as a blade for sadism and greed. His story lives on in radio dramas, podcasts, and books, a warning of intellect twisted into evil. In Lambeth's shadows, his ghost reminds us the deadliest poison often wears a white coat. Thanks for watching, guys. This one was heavy, so let me know in the comments what you think about Thomas Neill Cream. Was he just a product of his time, or something darker? Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more true crime deep dives. I'll see you in the next one. Stay curious, stay safe.